Is my screen visible to everybody?
Yes.
So first of all, my name is Dr. Richa Verma. I am a dentist by profession and I will be your host for today. So coming to the platform we have here, Adore. Adore is basically a platform, a global platform for motivating youth for positive action. As I mentioned, it is a global volunteer network of students and young professionals for motivating youth towards positive action. Everyone is a volunteer at Adore. Talking about the speaker for today, we have our very own Dr. Indu Prakash Singh, sir. And our topic for today is feminism, anti-men, no way. So I will be giving a short introduction about sir. So Dr. Indu Prakash Singh, sir, is a chairman, Asha Kiran Complex, Avantika Rohini. He's a member of a state-level shelter monitoring committee, governing board member, Kamla Nehru College, governing board member of Shahid Bhagat Singh College. He has a lot associated to him. Am I audible? Yeah, I'll continue. So he's the president of Forum Against Corruption and Threats, Corona Warrior 2020, Excellence Award 2019, Neelkant Samant Award 2018, Devatva Distinguished Alumnus University of Delhi 2017, and much more. He's a Person of Year, First Citizen Magazine 2003, and he has got a lot of other commendations as well. He's a gold medal and Junaid Ansari Memorial Gold Medal, JMI 1984. So he's also been awarded as the Best Student Award, Jamia Millia Islamia in 1982-84. So we are really honored to have you here, sir. And your knowledge, I think everybody will be enlightened with the knowledge and we will have this wonderful session with us. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Richa. I think, for inviting me here. And thank you, Dinesh Agrawalji, the founder of this group, of this very interesting group of Adore, which is trying to motivate youth for positive action. This is the second time I'm coming to this forum of yours. It's a very interesting forum of young people. And it's lovely to be here in the midst of young friends. And there are a couple of my own friends and colleagues joining here today. So, quickly, in fact, why I chose this topic was, that over the 4 decades, around 40 years, I've been working on women's issues. For the last 20 years, 22 years, I've been working on homelessness issues, but that covers women's issues as well. But it must be, I think one must be wondering as to what has a man got to do in the women's movement. And want to just quickly tell you here that, I'm here, I took up women's studies, women's equality, women's movement work for the simple reason that one of my friend's sister was burned to death when I was in the college, barely about 20, 21 years. And it left me a question in terms of, why does it happen in society? And so that really pushed me into the women's movement. And I've been blessed with being part of the women's movement right from the 80s. And some of the doyens of the women's movement, whether it was Meera Desai, Veena Majumdar, Lotika Sarkar, Upendra Bakshi, and so many people, I've been blessed to be in their mentorship and being guided by them. So today's topic I chose also for the simple reason that, normally because I also teach gender studies, gender equality in NIFT since 2018. I've done about 10 batches now. And, what happens is, like, every time when we speak about women's issues and feminism and all, so there are lots of things that come up also, largely in the debate. And I know that even during my days at JNU and Jamia, when I was doing research on women's issues and all, I think this thing was very hot debate, I'm talking since the 80s, that feminism. So I take a very clear position right at the beginning that normally people take feminism as being anti-men. And by the way, I don't agree to that. And for the simple reason that, like I've been part of the women's movement for the last 4 decades. And there's not one person who's come up and said, Indu, what is men doing in the women's movement in the country as such? Okay. So men were quite accepted in this field as such. Not that, I came from a privilege. Yes, men have a privilege in society. I come to all that, but I think quickly to just come here and say that, uh, like, we have had some great writers, great thinkers and all, and some positive things I'll start with, but I think also like my own, because I've also done my 2 masters in philosophy and sociology. In philosophy, we were taught that, we need to question everything that we are taught. We need to question, prepositions and propositions and all that, somehow we are made to gulp. And, when I ventured into women's studies and women's equality, women's movement and all, that took me on to really looking at terms of what some of the big people have told about women in a society. Whether it was Gandhi, Vivekanand, or Kabir, or whatever. In fact, if time permits, I'll talk about that. But the main issue is people like Tagore, people like Premchand have spoken wonderfully about women. And I want to begin with this quote. Like, when we talk about feminism, some people would say, oh, it's anti-men. I don't agree to it. And I have the best support in Premchand. When he says, I'll say in Hindi, then maybe I think I'll say in English. I think most of you can understand English, Hindi for sure. He says, पुरुष विकास के क्रम में स्त्री से पीछे है. जिस दिन वो पूर्ण विकास को पहुंचेगा, वो भी स्त्री बन जाएगा. Now just imagine what a fantastic thing he's talking about. Again, I read that. पुरुष विकास के क्रम में स्त्री से पीछे है. जिस दिन वो पूर्ण विकास को पहुंचेगा, वह भी स्त्री बन जाएगा. So where is the question of feminism being anti-men? Rather, he's talking about how actually for men to be better human beings, I think we need to give up our manhood, so-called, what we have been influenced by patriarchy actually. So when we talk about women's movement, women's equality, gender equality, we're not talking about the answer to patriarchy, which actually has caused all the problems that are there in our society even till now. The answer to patriarchy is not matriarchy. And that's not feminism talking about. It is actually equality. And before, we mistake it further, there are various brands of feminism. Feminism is not a monolithic structure. We have radical feminism, we have socialist or Marxist feminism, and we have liberal feminism. Okay? So maybe some of the people, when they brand feminism as feminazi, that, okay, this feminism is actually anti-men. Well, radical feminism, when it started way back in the 1960s and all, in the US and all, it surely, as a rebuttal to patriarchal institutions, which I think was serious actually. They took as a protest and spoke about men as a class and that women got nothing to do with that. So the problem which is there is that radical feminism is only one stream of feminism. And unfortunately, most people, and I would say most men, have taken that brand of feminism to be the mainstay of feminism, which is not true at all. There is a socialist brand of feminism, which talks about that we have a capitalist patriarchy in a society. Due to capitalist nature of a society, women exploited. And the moment capitalism goes, socialism comes in, communism comes in, patriarchy also dissolved. Okay, that was their thing. And liberal feminism is something which talks about that through laws and through changing societal norms and values and all, we can bring in change in our social structure, which is patriarchal. So these are the brands of feminism also. And in India, I don't think there has been any brand of feminism which is close to radical even till date, not even in the beginning. Our entire freedom struggle was more towards liberal feminism. In India, we've had socialist feminism, like All India Democratic Women's Association, or National NFIW, National Federation of Indian Women, all that. They have been, I would say socialist. They talk about socialist feminist ideology as such. But radical feminism, I doubt if anybody has ever taken that position as such. So for people to come up with this assumption that feminism, I remember, I think I'll come to that. I remember that during, the initial days of my research, we had a World Congress of Sociology in 1986 at Ashoka Hotel. And there were some of my own friends in JNU who walked up to the podium and said, what feminism talking about? It's a Western construct. It's all come from Western, countries, from US, UK and all that. Then I also went to the podium and I just went and told them that was Gargi and Maitri and all born in US or UK? Was Rani Lakshmibai, Razia Sultan, Begum Samru and all these other women who fought against, Britishers or against various, people during their times, were they from different country? And even to them, I said, your own Vedas talk about that let noble thoughts come from every side. So what is Western and Eastern? Okay. So our women way back 2000 years ago, 3000 years ago, put their foot down, protested against the patriarchal norms. Meera is the best example, Meerabai, a spiritual icon, who went against Rajputana altogether. And Mere to Girdhar Gopal, Dusune Koi, whatever. Okay. So there have been people who have challenged patriarchy, okay, the patriarchal institutions. And somewhere I would say feminism is in a way trying to make our society more equal, which we are not. Okay. So the effort of the women's movement, and some of us who have been part of the women's movement, and the 6 books that I have on women's issues, and one, of course, on my homeless work called City Makers, I think it's all trying to bring in the point that, in fact, our society in its vitals is utterly patriarchal, and we need to give up patriarchy for our own good. Now, as a man myself, there are many men here today listening to what I'm saying. I think the way we are brought up, the way socialization takes place, we are told we are a boy, we can't cry, we have to, be brave enough. Girls, okay, you can cry, and if you cry, don't cry like a girl. Tum ladki ho, tum ro rahe ho, And so we are unnecessarily hardened, we are made to be unnecessarily creatures when we want to be crying also. I think what's so wrong about crying? So somewhere the way we are brought up, and by the way, this is not only in India, I think these patriarchal norms prevail all around the world as such. Okay. There were worse conditions in China, in Japan, if you take up any country, we had patriarchal norms and mores and values and customs being followed in different countries. So nearer home, because I think, I understand other cultures. I don't want to talk about that. But coming to the issues here, I think somewhere we do need to understand that, also when we talk about feminism and all, our women's rights and all, there's a difference between sex and gender. That how, sex is just a biological thing. That's man and woman, or male and female. Okay, male and female. And gender, as we say, is the masculine and feminine gender talk about is socio-cultural. So in a way, people like Simone de Beauvoir in the book like Second Sex have made it very clear that biology is an abstract science. If you see in reality, women are not weak. Women are strong enough. But they have been told that you're weak. Okay? No. आप घर से बाहर नहीं निकल सकते हो. आपका इज्जत खतरे में है. Because for patriarchs, इज्जत खतरे में है. Because woman is a symbol of dignity of the family. So we don't tell the men to behave. We tell the women to circumscribe. We tell the women to be, there's a curfew time that you are not supposed to come beyond 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the night, and 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the night. No, not at all. It's not safe for you. So somewhere we also forget that in our own philosophy, in our own religion, we have a concept of Ardhanarishwar, right? Ardhanarishwar, if you talk about Shiva, there is half man and half woman, Shiva and Parvati, Shiv Shakti. Okay, what is that? It came from which culture? In psychology, we have got a term called, androgyny. We have this yin and yang principle also, which is a person having both the so-called masculine and feminine traits as such. Okay, so the idea is for a balanced society, we need to give up the ways and norms we have been brought up with. And somehow I personally feel that patriarchy is toxic, is pathological, and the sooner we give it, the better it is. And, women here need not be apologetic talking about that, well, I believe in equality, because I think that's a right of every person. Constitution of India, Universal Declaration of Human Rights, gives us that equality as such, gives us, the right to life as such, which is equal for both men and women. And the trans people also, by the way. We also have, after Article 377, Section 377 was removed from IPC. Now I think we also have, allowed the LGBTQI community to also exist and with dignity as such. So there are no aspersions being cast against the identity also. Okay. Just to also say here that, since I have also been teaching gender studies in NIF, so there are many times, where some of our own students all have come up with certain realizations, where one of the groups, of students, Shivani, Vidhi, Shweta, Vimal, had said, Shweta, Vimal, and Shweta, Projekta, had said that when men are oppressed, it's a tragedy, but when women are oppressed, it's a tradition, right? Similarly, I think, normally what happens is, when you talk about, that, well, women face so much in society, they say, but not all men. The issue is, I think one of my students, B.S. Karma, made a very important observation that women are subject to all this, that is oppression, violence, injustice, indignities, due to being a woman, while with men, it may happen not because of being a man. You see the distinction here. With women, it will happen. With women, it may happen, but not because of being a man as such. And so what are we feminists doing? I declare myself to be a male feminist, and for the simple reason, we make out very clearly, and then, there are some beautiful small book written by Kamala Basin and friends, where they say very clearly that feminists are not only asking and fighting for the equality of women, but for a just, equitable society for women and men. Okay, so we need to give up this entire, skewed and I would say a pathological understanding of women's rights that, that is against men. Okay, so that's why I remember, the moment you bring up women's issues, there are people who will come up and say, what are you talking about, men oppressing women? The most worst form of oppression is by women themselves, of women. And we forget to realize that even if suppose the woman versus woman angle comes in oppression, it's actually because of patriarchy. It's the patriarchal nature of a society which makes a woman into an enemy of another woman. And so if we don't see the best example is, just for your understanding, that when we had Britishers ruling us, they had Indian people into the army and police and all that. They used all of them to, attack Indians. Do we ever say that, Indians were enemies of Indians? We say Britishers were enemies of Indians and they were ruling Indians. They were a colonial country and all that. Similarly, suppose even the worst case scenario, the daughter-in-law, mother-in-law, bahu, saas bahu ka hota hai, problem hota hai, aaj tak chala ja raha hai. It is nothing ingrained into the head. It is what the social structure does to, people. Okay. So I would say, that, I think there's somebody saying not able to listen. I don't know what's the issue actually. Maybe I think somewhere, light on. Okay. I think so. The issue really is, that we need to understand that the problem is the way our society is structured. Okay, there's nothing deep inside a woman or inside a man. The way we are socialized, the way we are brought up, I think we are not brought up in an equal manner. Our families pamper sons and tell the boundaries for girls. Okay, so if bring up our children, both boys and girls, in an equitable manner, okay, in a justified and a dignified manner, we would be able to do away with the patriarchal norms as such, okay. And like I want to also come up here, that I think some of you must be wondering as to, like, for some of us, when we started doing our work on women's issues and all, for a man working on women's issues must have been very easy, right? Very interesting and very simple. But I must upfront tell here, and I don't know whether there are some professors from Jamia or not, because there were, I think, Arvinder and all were planning to come here. I want to tell you here very clearly that, when I planned to do my research on women's issues and all, my professor Jamia, who was then the HOD, I will name him, he's no more, he called me and told, Indu, why you want to work on women's issues? I said, sir, because I want to understand why the problem is there in society. He said, but Indu, I think, you're wasting your time. So I was a bit foxed as to what he's trying to say. Then he said, see, Indu, you'll work on women's issues and all. And if you go for a job tomorrow, the women will be given jobs, not you, because being a man writing on women's issues, men will never get a job. I said, sir, I'm not doing this research for a job. And I'm doing it because I'm interested in knowing. And job mujhe mila na mile, sir, I'm not bothered about it. And to be very frank, till this day, I worked with various organizations, groups and all. I've not worked with one women's organization. Okay. In JNU, again, there were two professors. One professor where, in fact, I was trying to review the book for my MPhil, the Simone de Beauvoir's The Second Sex. He tells me, Indu, and the course was on methodology of social sciences. He tells me, Indu, why you want to do this book, actually? You will mess up your grades. I said, sir, again, sir, I want to understand the issue. So I'm reading this book and all. And you wouldn't believe, I was the only one who got an A grade in his paper. And he was a tough teacher. Okay. So I think these are stories I'm telling you that even for some of us during our times to work on women's issues, what was not an in thing was tough. And those were times when the women's studies arena was coming, the area was coming up. So the women's studies center and all came up around mid 80s, or early 90s or late 90s. So for some of us, I think it was not easy at all. It was not a cakewalk. Like, I think, Richa, you can tell me if I have to take a break in between, because the idea of my conversation here is also that, there will be some questions and all. I'm open to stopping and taking the questions and then again elaborating on certain points. So if you want, I can stop at any moment. You can just nudge me. I'll stop and then take questions as such. So what do you say? Do I stop for a while?
Sir, if anybody has any questions in between the chat box, then we can have a 5-minute question answer round. Otherwise, sir, you can continue and we'll do it in the end.
Okay, sure. Fine.
Yes.
Okay. So I think the point I'm trying to make here again is, if just I try to say here, so like, in women's, when we talk about feminism, we talk about women's movement. I think one catchphrase that we have is personal is political, which means what goes on in your personal life is actually not just a secret between you and your family. It actually belongs to many other women also, and it needs to be shared. So what happens is, much of the wife battering cases that goes on, like during COVID time, I remember I had to create a WhatsApp group on no violence against women because I heard of lots of domestic violence cases coming up because women were forced to be in the house, they were working from home, and the domestic violence cases increased. And I was getting calls from girls in Kanpur that their father was bashing them up. So we had to get our bureaucrat friends in UP to intervene and threaten the father to behave, or else they'll be taking action. So the issue really is, that if something is happening to any person, boy or a girl, by the way, in today's society, not even men are safe. many of the young boys are getting sodomized. Okay, it's the child sexual abuse is not sparing boys or girls. Okay, these predators who are there. In fact, Ambika Pandit did a story. Ambika Pandit is a dear friend from Times of India. She did a series on predators amongst us. It's something which you all need to read as such, which tells us that our own people, at times our own family members. I want to be upfront. Our own family members, our own fathers and uncles and brothers and cousins. Some friends here and there, they are predators. They can sexually exploit the children as such, and we need to be aware of it. And we need to encourage the children to talk about it. So some of us, I think, when you have questions, I'll talk about it as to how we raise the children and how we raise the children to come up and tell if there was any child sexual abuse case as such. And I think this was a strategy that me and my wife Renuka, because she passed away last year due to COVID, we adopted for our children Manav and Pragya, that so that I think that if a problem comes up for them, I think they are able to share it with us as such. And I would implore that the problem with the society is that we try to hush up matters. We say नहीं, बाहर नहीं जाना चाहिए, बेइज्जती हो जाएगी. I think to insult a person, be it and in most cases, in 100%, 90% cases, 99% cases, is actually women, who are always assaulted and mauled as such. I'm not denying that there might be cases of men also getting it, okay? But, and then to women, the father, the mother, the cousins, the brother would say, no, just keep quiet, don't take it out. Badnami ho jayegi hamari. I would say it's very important that, in our society, we should be open about talking such violences, such crimes that take place, to make a society a better society as such. I come across, I think many of you also must have been coming across this, that you walk the streets and your ears are full with the mother and sister abuses. You're walking by and there are people abusing, somebody's mother, somebody's daughter, somebody's sister, like that, and we just walk by. Have some of us taken this thing on us to walk up to them and say that, please, hello, stop abusing a girl or a woman or whatever? In fact, some of us have been doing that. And we need to do all this also. Like, see, many of your young people there, you're volunteers, you're joining profession, you're starting a career. Richa, you're a dentist, so many of you, need to understand that if you're hearing something wrong happening in your families, in society, you need to face up to it. Don't run away from it. You have to be courageous, in talking to the person. I can tell you, I have approached those young people, those old people abusing girls and women and all that. When they talk, saying, "Bhaiya, आप क्या कर रहे हैं आप? किसको गाली दे रहे हैं आप? ये जो माँ बहन कर रहे हैं आप जो है, does it sound good with your age or whatever you're talking about?" Then say, "No, actually I'm sorry, and I didn't mean to." I said, "Listen, there are people walking past you, and it hurts everybody's sensibilities, So please improve." So I think somewhere this is our society. This is our society. If the society has got pathological, if it's still patriarchal, we need to decimate patriarchy. I'm very clear. We need to annihilate, decimate, throw out patriarchy as such, because it does no good to anybody. Like, we all have been mauled badly by patriarchy. We unnecessarily have a sense of bravado that men bade achhe hote hain, women bas darpok hoti hain. It's all rubbish. Jhansi ki Rani was no coward. Rather, the Scindias, who gave up this thing to Britishers and who are still in power, they were cowards, Okay. So somewhere we need to understand that, I think we are a fractured society unnecessarily. And some of the great people that we've had, I won't have the time to quote them as such, but if time permits, I'll surely quote them as such. Okay. Have actually not done justice to our society. Then also there's other aspect here, Richa and friends, that have you ever realized that how even the grammar is loaded with patriarchal nuances? Like the words that we use. Just imagine. Dear sirs, man to man, manpower, craftsman, working man, the thinking man, man in the street, fellow countrymen, the history of mankind, one man show, man in his wisdom, statesmen, forefathers, masterful, masterpiece, old masters, the brotherhood of man, fraternity, sons of free men, faith of our fathers, God the Father, God the Son, yours fraternity, amen. Chairmen, gentlemen, guides, fishermen, cowboys, man the hunter, man the protector, yeoman service. And the famous poem by Wordsworth, the child is the father of the man. Somewhere, I think we have been so obsessed with the nomenclature that in English language, just imagine, we have man, and what is the opposite of man? It's a woman. If you remove man from woman, what is the word there actually? You just woo. What does woo mean? मतलब औरतों को अस्तित्व नहीं है. Woman, what is? It's a woman with it's a man with a womb. Is that what you want to say? So there have been friends like Upendra Bakshi, who was the former vice chancellor of the university, and well-known legal luminary, who once I remember when in the 80s, he said, "I'm not happy with the word human or the word person." So he said, we need to remove man from human and son from person. And the word we get is Huper, Huper. So maybe we need to use a word like Huper when we talk about people. So instead of saying human beings, we say Huper beings or Huperhood or like that. So I think somewhere I would say here, that there is this also, I would say there is this issue of patrilinguality, which means how a linguistics, how a semiotics and all is loaded in patriarchal terms. Okay, which is draped in which has got patriarchal moorings as such. Okay, then also like if we talk about, somebody might say no, but see, we have man and then woman, we have male and then female. I would say that actually, if you have to create some terms to understand, that for me is actually patrillusion. It's an illusion of wholeness when indeed it's exclusion ab initio, So it's not inclusion, rather exclusion of women. So the term like Dupo might be better. And then, I think it's very important that, it's like much of the things that we talk about is patrilogical in the sense we got double standards. I justified using epics and religious texts and all that. How does one justify Tulsidasa's Dhol Gawar Shudra Pashanari Ye Hai Taran Ke Adhikari? And this comes in Sundarkand, and you find families singing Sundarkand and saying and singing Dhol Gawar Shudra Pashanari Ye Hai Taran Ke Adhikari. That woman and all should be beaten. This is a culture that we are talking about this in such a indignified manner, and then we talk about Yatti Naryastu Pujante Ramante Tatta Devata, where women are worshipped, there the divinity resides or lives. Rubbish. If we were respecting women, we only had Durga Puja just day before. Such an important thing. So if women are worshipped in a country, why do women face all this that they're facing till date? Why we have got sexual harassment, rapes and all happening in a big way? Why? That's my question. Then we have Manuji talking about in Sanskrit. Pita Rakshati Kumare, Rakshanti Yavane, Rakshanti Vardege Putra Stri na Swatantra. That father takes care of the girl when she is a child. Pita Rakshati Kumare, Bhrata Rakshanti Yavane, that during youth the husband takes care of her. Rakshanti Vardege Putra Stri na Swatantra. That during the old age the son takes care of the woman. Hence, woman is never fit for freedom. So somewhere our culture, our values, our traditions are heavily loaded against women. And feminism gives us a lens to look at some of these cultural norms and traditions with that specific lens, And it's important that, we use that lens Otherwise, we normally, we would say, well, you really heard, because कि हमारा इतना अच्छा culture है, 5,000 साल पुराना culture है, and that where women have been yet नारीस्तु पूज्यन्ते, so we talk about it, but we do this opposite, right? So now, this is one person I've respected a lot, and many of us respect him, okay? And the idea of bringing this here is simple, that, we need to question some of the great thinkers also, or some of the great saints as well, okay? Like, the most respected person whom I have been also quoting, Kabir Das is the one who said, बुरा जो देखन में चला बुरा न मिलिया कोई जब मन खोजा अपना मुझसे बुरा न कोई. He is the one who said, निंदक नीर राखे आंगन कुटी छवाए साबुन पानी बिना निर्मल करे सुबह. I value that. But when it comes to women, same Kabir Das has said many, many wrong things. And what has he said? नारी की झाई परत अंधा हो तो भुजंग कबीरा तिन की कौन गति जो नित नारी के संग. He, औरत, the shadow of a woman will also make a serpent blind. And what will happen to that person who always stays with a woman? Now, this Kabir is saying this. Why? Why do you have to say this? Then, नागिन के दोय फन नारी के फन 20 जाका दसा ना फिर जिए मरही 20. मतलब women have got, a serpent has got 2 fangs, woman has got 20 fangs. ये कहाँ से कोई लिख रहा है, Then नारी तो हम भी करी पाया नहीं विचार जब जाना तब परिहरी नारी बड़ी विकार. That, women, even I got married, then I didn't think. When I thought, then I realized that there is no other wrong than a woman. Such great saints. Why is it that they talk, when it comes to women, they talk so nastily about it? There are so many women saints, like Mirabai, Andal, so many other women saints are there. They have not spoken one word against a male, any male as such. Okay? They have not spoken anybody against any male. When it comes to women, some of the male saints, some of the great men that we've had, they speak against women. The issue is, why does this happen? And somewhere, I would say, feminism taught me to question some of these people, because I was quoting Kabir Das ji very much, and I still respect him. I'm not saying that I don't respect him. I respect him. I still respect him for the dohas and all that I've been reciting. I believe in him. But the thought came to me that let me see what he said about women. And only last year, again telling you, only last year I discovered that even he has got some things to say about women as such. Okay, so I would tell that for all the young people here that we have, young, old, whatever, our culture is great. I don't dispute that. But that culture is not great, which decimates and which denigrates women. A culture which doesn't respect women needs to be given up. And unfortunately, there are many elements in a culture which denigrates women. And until we reform our culture, reform our thinking, reform our norms and moral values, we would be a decadent society. And problems that come up in a society is because of the patriarchal moorings that we have. And this was not a time to talk about the problems that are there in a society that women face, but we all know as to what happens in a society as such, what problems we have. Laws are there, but not followed. Rapes happen, but reporting doesn't happen. And if it's reported, the humiliation that a rape survivor undergoes, she might have to withdraw, or the conviction is 1% of the entire case. So any person would shudder to go to police station to report such crime, and the police would say, "आपको पता है इसका consequence क्या होगा? आपको case हर रोज आना पड़ेगा." And then they humiliate you when they question you. I think court में तमाम चीजें हैं. I think it is not a simple process. So I can go on and on, Richa, but the only thing is that I think, I know that there's a limitation of time. I think already I've spoken for a long time. I would, I want to answer some
Yes,
questions that
sir.
everybody having.
Yes, sir. Two people have questions. So they've raised their hands also. So I would request Arvinder sir and Ayush sir, and one person has written in the chat box as well. So they can go one by one.
Okay, sure. Please, you can allow them to speak. You can allow them to have the question. And I think there are Komal, Priya, Singh and all also. If you want to add to it, please add Komal, Renu, and there are Arvinder. I think Arvinder is asking the question.
Yes.
So if you want to add, please add, it's your forum as well. It's not my forum, it's our forum. Yeah.
Good evening, sir. I'm here, Komal.
Yeah, Komal, yes, hi.
Yeah, and it's so nice to finally see you. And last time when we worked together, I think it was it was the project for social welfare department for persons involved in begging in Delhi. It was so nice to hear you. And again, so you know what, I can actually relate, and there is nothing जो आपने बोला which I don't agree with you. I agree with you each and everything. And the term feminism or maybe a feminist, it's not dangerous. It sounds very dangerous to some people, especially for to men. I don't know. And then they suddenly start treating you differently. Okay, you are a feminist, मतलब luxury, I don't know, क्या समझते हैं. So बहुत they talk shit, they talk rubbish कि okay, that means you hate men, okay, so but eventually you will marry a man. So these are the notions here related to feminism and feminist. So being like you have always been there, guided me, I'm very thankful. But currently I'm working in Bihar. तो मुझे बहुत अच्छा एक्सपोजर मिल रहा है. I have all my father is in army. मेरे को बहुत अच्छा बैकग्राउंड मिला. I lived at different places and I never faced such discrimination. कभी I personally पढ़ाई में I was a privileged kid, I would say, parents के मामले में, but society के वजह से parents were little कि okay, how can you do this, what will they say, इतने टाइम पे नहीं जाना है, इतने टाइम पे नहीं आना है. So recently I started working in Bihar and I am traveling to different districts in Bihar. So and the project which I'm doing is related to lightning, क्योंकि अभी recent years में lightning से बहुत deaths हो रही हैं. तो जो इफेक्ट हो रही है वो महिलाएं भी इफेक्ट हो रही हैं, क्योंकि वो खेती बाड़ी में काम कर रही हैं, वहां पे खेती बाड़ी में जा रही हैं. व्हाट आई ऑब्जर्व्ड कि अगर एक परिवार का एक मर्द अगर इफेक्ट होता है, ठीक है, लाइटनिंग से, but still women is there to control the support the family financially, या फिर emotionally she is there for her kids, so she is able to do hard overtime and she is able to send the kids to school. Okay, but what happens when एक घर की स्त्री की मृत्यु हो जाती है ऐसे डिजास्टर में, आपदा में, घर पूरा डिस्ट्रॉय हो जाता है. देयर जो मेन है, he also has to maybe psychological impact होता है, and they don't send their children to school also. So ये बहुत ही this is an impact. And rural women तो अगर उनकी एजुकेशन देखी जाए तो the level of awareness इतना poor है उनमें, but उनमें इतना अच्छा they all want to be empowered. If you talk to them, they are so different and unique. You will always they will always surprise you. So this is their beauty कि not even in urban, like wherever we are, we face discrimination. There is a notion related to the term women and then feminism कि उसके वजह से they are prone to, they are vulnerable in every situation, in every condition. They all are. And so we are very thankful कि we have such forum where people are coming together and talking. Abhi, you must have heard of this Patna girl who asked the question from the IAS.
I know how obnoxious it was, how shameful that IAS officer the way she's telling कल तुम concept ही मांगोगे हमसे जो है, निरोध मांगोगे तुम हमसे जो है, मतलब ये, and again a woman. So the idea is man or a woman, Komal, they are patriarchal. Power है ना, power is there, and it's so shameful.
Definitely, sir. So I think with time, this change needs to be there, because now people, girls are also fighting for it. Ki, nahi, this is what I want to do, and I'll do. I have to do it. So we need to, empower girls. We need to tell them there should be no boundaries. आपका religion एक side, आपकी background एक side, आपका individuality एक side. तो this is very important, sir.
नहीं बिल्कुल
That's all.
बिल्कुल. और बेस्ट चीज ये था इसमें कोमल की, वो जो लड़की थी एंड तक बोलती रही, वो जवाब देती थी वो, कि आप ऐसे नहीं बोल सकते हैं, आप ये आप क्यों कर रहे हैं ऐसे, आप हम आई थिंक she was amazing. So thank you, Komal, for raising these valid issues. And, I appreciate, the point that you made. और मैं, आपने बोला था अभी ना कि I think women or men के बीच में जो है, I think we'll have Arvinder, you speak and then I'll come back. Yeah, please, Arvinder.
Thank you, Induji. I think there is some problem. I am joining from my mobile now.
Please.
Yeah. Wonderful presentation, Induji, where you have brought in all the aspects, right from Simon de Beauvoir to Kamala Bhasin, and you have talked so vividly about that, how, patriarchy has become such an oppressive institution, because, the basic problem is that, in spite of so many laws, in spite of so many discussions, gender sensitizations, we realize still violence against women is continuing. It is not only continuing, it has increased manifold.
Yes.
Now the reason is why it is happening. Why it is happening? Because the site of violence, universally, the first site of violence is family. The first site of violence, oppression and discrimination is family. Am I audible, Induji?
Yes.
Am I audible?
Very much audible. Very nice. Yeah. You're audible. Yes.
Am I audible?
Yeah. You're audible. I can listen to you. Yes, please go ahead. Vrindaji, I can listen to you. You all can listen to you. Please go ahead.
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
I think she has lost connection.
Yes.
Okay, Rachna ji was saying something. Please, I think, then we'll have her when she comes. Yeah. What was it?
Okay. Hello, sir. I am Rachna, and I am a human rights student from Tata Institute of Social Sciences, and right now a criminology student in UK. So I had tried to explore, I have been very much into this social setup, because I was working for more than a decade with the as brand ambassador for Beti Bachao Beti Padhao, and also as for the rural Rajasthan girls to go and join schools. So that was one mission for me, because I come from a background where it was a lot of struggle for my parents and grandparents to send me to school. So forget about talking and questioning and all those things. But thankfully, my parents were very sensitive, and they used to be like, I used to feel like they don't love me, because they used to throw me out of house, and they used to say that go participate in this event, that event. They used to drag me to their schools and ask me to give a speech, because at home I used to argue very much with my father, but not outside. So he used to he always promoted me to promote other girls in my village and outside society. So thankfully, yes, that was a privilege for me. And now I realized that they were how much caring parents. And when you were talking, it was I really remembered, I got emotional as well. That's how I closed my video, because I have had a lot of talks with Kamala Bhasin ma'am when she was there. Though I've never met her in person, but we had video calls and all those since last 4 or 5 years. So that everything was I could relate to what she used to say and what you just said. So yeah, that is really true. But I wonder, like, I have not seen it in my family because of my parents, but when we go outside, it is like very much harassing kind of situation. Like first day, I remember when I got married and went to in-laws place, I was just laughing with my cousin, and then I was told that, no, you are not here allowed to talk and laugh like that. And I'm like, what? So it is like my in-laws are highly educated people. They have, like, my husband and the uncle who said are actually brought up here in London, and I don't know what kind of mentality we have that education is not able to change it. And also, like, my experience at here in the UK University, as well as in Tata Institute, TIS, Mumbai. So it was like, I have heard many people using these mother and sister words, as you mentioned. Yes. And I tried to, like, talk to, because I am very socializing person and I have a huge lot of friends, and I try to talk to like every kind of people and learn about their cultures and everything. So I tried to talk to them as well, and that was like blow on my face. They were like, everywhere I got similar answers. Unfortunately, that was like, oh, that's our freedom to use any language, to talk in any way or manner. Who are you to talk, tell us? And majority of the students, female students I was talking to, they were like, when boys can do that, why can't we? When men can do that, why can't we? It is like what we are copying to. Like, we need to apply our mind that we are copying to good things, not the bad things of boys. There are so many good things, like, even if there is patriarchy, especially there are good things. Still there are good things associated with men. So we can copy those things. We can copy, but I don't know why these were the answers which were like blocking your mind already, that this is the way of freedom. If you go for night parties, I don't say that don't go for that, but it is like, I have been targeted many times. Even here, I don't go for night parties and alcohol and abusive slangs and all. So they are like, why are you a law student? You say you have fought for tribes who are considered, because I have worked for more than a decade with the tribes who are considered as born criminals. You must have heard of it, the Criminal Tribes Act and
yes.
So
the
I have worked with
notified
tribes. So they say that you are a rubbish person. How you could fight for them when you don't even understand the meaning of freedom? So this is like, what kind of construction we are having in our youth minds? I don't know. So that is how I wanted to ask, like, we know the concerns you have raised. We are thinking about that, but we don't know how to deal with them, or how we can talk about them. So maybe because of your experience and your thought process, you can guide us how we can deal with these things and talk about that.
Thank you, Rachna, for that very important observation you made. I can only say, we have to be thinking people and live in that moment. If you don't like a thing, tell upfront. There is no second time for you in life. If you don't tell it then and there, you will never get the opportunity to say it anytime in future, because then you'll be scared. Yeah. So when something is wrong, have the courage to say, this is wrong, I don't accept it. Whether whoever the person may be, whether it's our own respected parents or friends or husband or whoever, who is committing a mistake. If I commit a mistake, I tell myself also, okay, I committed a mistake, I need to improve. Okay. So we need to own up to things, and hold the person accountable for it. Don't ever forgive a person who does a crime as such, It can be our family members also. Let us take them to task, So thank you for raising that important question, and keep the work you're doing. And, I look forward to more sharings from you in future. Keep writing about it and sharing with Adore as such. Yeah, Arvinder, are you there? Thank you, my dear. Thank you.
Yeah, can you hear me? I think
Yeah, I can hear you very well. Yeah, please, Arvinder. Sure.
So, I'll pick up my point, try to pick up, because Rachna's presentation was so, engaging that I think I got lost into it. Wonderfully you have pointed out the social system. Now, Induji, what I was saying that the site of violence is family. And what happens is in family, we only address patriarchy in men and we don't address patriarchy in women. To behave like men is something, what happens? Our childhood, women go through this rite the passage, and we see that in childhood, we are fighting for our freedom, for space throughout youth. But as women age, they themselves become embodiments of patriarchy. So one is that we have to address that very seriously because we don't address. And another thing which I want to know from you is good you talked about breaking this ghettoization and having arguments with your teachers that you want to work on feminism. Yes. So how do you feel? What are the challenges you have faced as male feminists in this domain? We would like to know more about that.
Yeah. Thank you, Arvindaji, for raising this issue. I think some very important things like, I would say, there were those, like my own friends at that point, and Jamia and JNU, other places, who would at times laugh at you.
We remember, Induji, we remember Mrs. Anjum telling us, there is only one feminist male scholar, and that is Indu Prakash Singh. She would say it with so much of pride to us. But surviving and what were the challenges? I'm sure you have not been accepted because what happens? वो पूरा अर्धनारीश्वर वाला हिसाब हो जाता है. Neither you are accepted here nor you are accepted here. Yes. So what were your challenges?
No, I think as I'm telling you, the challenges are very clear. When say I can tell you in JNU there was a course being offered by a professor called Social Mobility, Social Differentiation, and Social Change. So I go up to the professor. I won't name him. You'll know him. I go up to the professor and said, "Sir, would gender come in this?" You know what his answer was? No. I said, "Sir, social mobility, social differentiation, and social change. Gender is one form of social differentiation. How would not it come in the course?" Then he said, "Oh, okay. If you say that, then because then told him, sir, if gender is going to come in the course, then I'll take a course. Otherwise, I'll go for Dipankar Gupta's course on science, technology, and on that, Then he said, no. I think if you say so, then gender will come into it. Can you believe it? To work on women's issues, I had to argue with the professors कि भैया gender ले आओ यार, मुझे काम करना है इसमें भाई. So can you believe? And I was at the risk of messing up my grades, but I topped my JNU batch for the simple reason that I took up these issues. So उनके ना कहने पर my own professors were dissuading me, but my gut was saying कि नहीं मुझे काम करना है. I'm not doing for grades. I'm doing for larger interest. उसका जो भी हो, I flunk in MPhil, doesn't matter. But I want to work on these issues. I think that paid, I would say, Arvinder, that paid, And I think वो जो होता है intuition से काम करने की जरूरत पड़ती है. Somewhere there's a divine in you which guides you. वो अर्ध नारीश्वर की जो नारीश्वर है वो guide कर रही थी हमको, I would say.
Good. Because, I also had same difficulty whenever I wanted to invite senior male professors, very, very well-known professors, that, sir, you have to come and speak on gender, in gender seminar. In one of the seminars, you had given valedictory gender development and violence. I used to have tough time. They would say that, hum kya bolenge? What do we speak about gender? So that ghettoization, that women will talk about women's problem has to be addressed seriously.
Absolutely. And in fact, since you're talking about it, it was actually Professor Sayyad who told me कि Indu, women studies में क्या research कर रहे हो तुम ये? You will not get a job. No women organization will give you a job. I said, sir, वो छोड़ दिए sir. I'm not doing for job at all, sir. मैं तो अपना मेरे अंदर पागलपन ऐसा मैं करना चाहता हूँ मैं. And like Professor Anjum's paper was an extra paper I used to take. I didn't appear for the exam for that because I had some other course, But her classes I never missed because my research was on women's area and all that, So I did additional courses because I was interested, not for marks, never for marks.
Good. I think Ayush wants to ask. Ayush.
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hi, sir. Namaste, sir. I am Ayush Kumar from NIRT, Hyderabad. Sir, my question is, yes, sir. Recently, my brother asked me like if you have chance to get married with some feminist girl, one feminist girl, so what's your opinion? Like क्या तुम उससे शादी करोगे? अगर कोई फेमिनिस्ट लड़की से अगर तुम्हारा शादी होता है, तो मैं पूरा कंफ्यूज हो गया कि मैं क्या आंसर दूं, मुझे कुछ समझ में नहीं आ रहा था, तो मुझे इसका आंसर चाहिए आपसे अभी।
अच्छा, उस भाई को ये बोलना, उस भाई को ये बोलना, फेमिनिस्ट गर्ल जो है वो इंसानी होती है। फेमिनिस्ट गर्ल, you know, I would say कि that person is always a better person who has got some strong ideology, you know, and that person respects herself and respects you also for who you are, you know. So feminism doesn't mean disrespect. Feminism means that the person is going to oppose patriarchy in you and in her. Okay, so that person is a very balanced person. मतलब इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि वो जो है पुरुषों को घृणा करती है, पुरुषों से संबंध नहीं रखना चाहते हैं, वो समाज में बदलाव के लिए बात कर रही है। वो जो है, जी आयुष बताएं।
सर आपने बोला अभी फेमिनिस्ट जो होता है वो पैट्रियार्कल सोसाइटी को अपोज करता है, तो फिर सर हम अगर बात नॉर्थ ईस्ट के शिलोंग का करते हैं, मेघालय का करते हैं, तो वहां पे तो पैट्रियार्कल सोसाइटी नहीं है। फिर इसका मतलब यही हुआ ना कि वहां पे सर सारी लड़की हैं वो सब फेमिनिस्ट ही हैं, लेकिन ऐसा भी तो नहीं हो सकता है। जो ऐसा है कि फर्क है कि मेघालय में जो शिलोंग जो कहते हैं, वहां पे जो है इट इज मैट्रिलिनियल सिस्टम, इट इज नॉट मैट्रियार्कल। वहां पर तब भी जो है जो प्रॉपर्टी होता है उसमें मामा का बड़ा हाथ होता है। ओके, जो लड़की के जो मामा होता है उसका बड़ा इंपॉर्टेंट रोल होता है, बट श्योरली दे आर बेटर प्लेस इन सोसाइटी, दे आर मोर रिस्पेक्टेड एज सच। तो हम एक और चीज है, हम ये कह रहे हैं कि पैट्रियार्की का आंसर मैट्रियार्की नहीं है, पैट्रियार्की का आंसर इक्वालिटी है। पैट्रियार्की का आंसर जो है मतलब बराबरी है, जिसमें पुरुष और महिला दोनों बराबर हों। ठीक है, अर्धनारीश्वर का कॉन्सेप्ट समझ रहे हैं ना आप जो है, शिव पुरुष भी है और महिला भी है, तो हम उसकी बात कर रहे हैं यार, दोनों के अंदर वो विराजमान रहे, दोनों के अंदर पुरुष और महिलाओं वाला गुण रहेंगे, तो हमें क्या दिक्कत है? तो हमें समाज वैसा बनाना है ना कि पुरुष महिलाओं के खिलाफ, महिला पुरुष के खिलाफ, ऐसा समाज है ही नहीं। और फेमिनिज्म, जो फेमिनिस्ट जो लोग हैं, मैं खुद को फेमिनिस्ट कहता हूं मैं, बट आई वाज मैरिड, यू नो, एंड me and my wife led a very good life, you know. I lost her last year due to COVID, but you know, it was fantastic to be together. So feminism makes you a better person. मैं बोलता हूँ कि फेमिनिस्ट, अगर मैं फेमिनिस्ट हूँ, मैं तो कहूंगा फेमिनिस्ट वाइफ छोड़िए, आप खुद फेमिनिस्ट बनिए। आप फेमिनिस्ट बनेंगे, आपको जो है जीवन में आपके अंदर भी बदलाव आएगा, और आप जहां जहां बात करेंगे वहां बदलाव आप ला पाएंगे। तो फेमिनिज्म इनसे डरने की बात नहीं होती है, ये इसको अपनाने की बात होती है। ठीक है ना आयुष? उसको आप मुझे 1-2 महीने में करके मुझे फिर बात बताइएगा आप में बदलाव क्या आ रहा है। ठीक है। और सर आपने बोला ना अभी कि जेएनयू में एक सब्जेक्ट को लेके आपने बोला था जेंडर।
हाँ जी,
जेंडर एक सब्जेक्ट को लेके अभी आपने कुछ बोला था ना।
हाँ जी, हाँ जी,
जेंडर सब्जेक्ट का पढ़ाई होना चाहिए।
हाँ,
तो अभी मतलब हम बहुत प्राउडली बोल सकते हैं एनआईआरडी एक इनिशिएटिव लिया है हम लोग का, जो हम लोग को 3rd ट्राइमेस्टर में जेंडर का एक सब्जेक्ट है, जिस पे हम लोग को लेक्चर मिलेगा।
वेरी गुड, बहुत अच्छा। नहीं, बहुत अच्छा है वो कि देखिए, अब वही कह रहा हूँ कि अब आप लोग पढ़ रहे हैं तो बड़ी अच्छी बात है कि अब आप लोगों के लिए दरवाजा खुल गया है। हम लोगों को स्ट्रगल करना पड़ा था वो दरवाजा खोलने के लिए, तो शायद हम लोगों ने जो स्ट्रगल किया उससे आप लोगों के लिए पढ़ना और आसान हो गया। हम लोगों को वो थोड़ा मेहनत करना पड़ा तो शायद चीजें आसान हुई हैं, लेकिन आपको अगर कुछ करना हो जिंदगी में तो आपको वो कदम आगे बढ़ाना चाहिए। चीज ये है, तो अगर जेंडर पढ़ रहे हैं उसको आप लोग अमल में लाइए जिंदगी में, और उसको फॉलो करिए आप जो है उसको, है ना, पढ़िए और समाज अपने को सुधारे। जो गांधी जी था ना, बी द चेंज यू वांट टू सी इन द वर्ल्ड। आप अपने को बदलिए, समाज खुद बदलेगा। तो आप पहले फेमिनिस्ट बनिए, फिर आपकी जो वाइफ आएगी ना, बेटर हाफ आएगी ना, वो फेमिनिस्ट हो ना हो वो आपको लाइक जरूर करेगी। ठीक है, तो डोंट वरी ऑन दैट पार्ट। अपने भाई को फेमिनिस्ट बनाइए, पहली बात तो उसको बनाइए फेमिनिस्ट साहब। भाई जो पूछा था उसको बनाइए फेमिनिस्ट साहब। ठीक है, थैंक यू आयुष फॉर द लवली क्वेश्चन, इट वाज इंटरेस्टिंग।
Sir, I think Pankaj sir also
Hello.
has a question.
Who wants to? Yes, please go ahead.
Hello.
Who's that, Richa? Who's that?
Sir, it's Pankaj Pathak, sir.
Hello.
Yeah, please Pankaj ji, please go ahead.
I am audible?
Yeah, you are very much audible, Pankaj ji.
सर मैं यंग माइंड से हूँ, यंग माइंड एनजीओ, यंग माइंड एनजीओ, यंग माइंड।
अच्छा अच्छा जी, पंकज बताएं।
हेलो सर, मैं कह रहा हूँ जैसे मतलब गर्ल्स की फर्स्ट प्रायोरिटी क्या होती है, ये मतलब मेरे को समझ नहीं आ रहा है। अलग अलग हो सकती है या एक ही होती है कि स्वतंत्रता, क्या मतलब
क्या चीज बेटा, क्या कह रहे हैं आप जो है पंकज, क्या कह रहे हैं आप पंकज, आप क्या कह रहे थे बेटा?
He was asking about what is the priority for girls. Is it freedom or something else? But he then lost the connection.
I don't
so
know.
it is like he wanted to ask that can we put it like in one line that सारी लड़कियां ऐसे ही सोचेंगी?
ओहो, नहीं नहीं, ऐसे हम लोग उसके खिलाफ हैं। वी आर नॉट टॉकिंग अ बॉक्सिंग एनी पर्सन इनटू दिस और दैट, यू नो। हमारा ये है कि भाई सबको फ्रीडम है, किसी भी रूप में आगे बन सकते हैं, बढ़ सकते हैं, यू नो। आपको जो है केवल वही नहीं बनना है, आपको कोई रोकने वाला नहीं है, और प्रायोरिटी की बात नहीं है। आपका जो मन करता है आप वो आगे बढ़ सकते हैं, यू नो। चाहे साइंटिस्ट बनिए, चाहे प्रोफेसर बनिए, चाहे आप पहाड़ पे चढ़िए, आप जो है ना। सो आई थिंक वी आर अगेंस्ट एनी, यू नो, bottling of people into this camp or that camp, है ना?
Yeah. Actually, that happens, sir, a lot. Bottling of thing. You have used the right word. Yeah.
Yeah, you know. Yes, I think, you know. Yeah. I think before we talk of freedom, we tell the boundaries.
Yes.
You know, so it's very important that we talk about freedom and boundary. चाहिए होगा, नहीं चाहिए होगा, you know.
And then we don't respect the boundaries what girl has set up. If like absolutely. I have faced it many times, like because I don't know, I have nothing, like I can't talk without a smile, so that is my problem, or whatever you can say. That I consider it is a good thing, but some people say it is a bad thing that you smile with everybody, that means you are characterless girl. But I can't think of anybody except my husband. So I don't know why do they keep it like, oh, if you are smiling, that means you are giving yes signal to the other men, and that also like in physical terms. No, man, I'm not here available physically. I am here to talk to. I am approachable person. That doesn't mean physically approachable. I don't know why they don't understand.
Yes.
You know, even in professional setup, you know, you're supposed to behave in a certain way, like, you know, and it has something to do with your with you being feminine. You're always आप कोई बोलते हो, and there's always a second meaning attached to it, पता है? So there's always a concern, I would say, you have to be very, so that you don't cross the boundary, or maybe you don't give that, you know, signal, because people are always there to blame you. You know, this is what you have done, and this is all because of you. So, and boys are very easy, or even men, you know, oh, it was just a joke, or I was kidding, and they can just get away with it. But for us, they are always, you know, judging us, telling us, ki, you must have done something. That's why, and this is not what he actually meant. So, this is the thing.
And all these jokes are like, because you are a female, we can make joke, we can make fun of it. But if we counter fun about something or laugh about something, they can't digest it. That ego hurting thing.
Absolutely. You're not supposed to counter. You're only supposed to give a smile and not to that, you know. Moment you counter, इस लड़की में देखो, लड़की दूसरी लड़की है, you know. She's giving hints for something, you know. So I think it's double entender that goes on, you know. जो चीजें गलत हैं. So it's very important that, you know, we need to work on that. Rupinder Garg had something to say. Rupinder, are you there?
Sir,
you mentioned.
Hello, am I audible?
Yeah, Rupinder, but
yes, sir.
Sure, you're audible. Yeah.
Sir, I am Rupinder Garg from Directorate of Education, Delhi.
Oh, lovely.
Working as a mentor.
Oh, wow, very good. Mentor teacher, yes. Very good. Where?
Lovely to see you here, Rupinder ji.
Thank you, sir. Sir, I have a question. I think in feminism, some misconceptions have been there. Some group of people think that feminism means to grow up to those things which men do. If we want to be equal, we have to be in clubs. We have to wear this kind of clothes. This something about feminism I think is misunderstood in very young girls or very young females also. I think it is a misconception that equality means that we have to follow that bad things. If someone is doing that bad things means feminism. I think they are thinking like that in this process. But
I think Rupinder, I think thanks for bringing it out. I think the issue really is कि people in our society and people world over have never spent time to understand what feminism actually is. Before even listening to the word feminism, they have created a concept in their head कि feminism का ये मतलब है. Women are not talking of the same thing. भाई जैसे जो पुरुष गलत काम करता है वो हम भी करेंगे. They only want freedom. So like feminism is actually challenging the status quo at every level, both in interpersonal and at family relationship level as such. तो जो फेमिनिज्म है वो जो है वो एक मतलब जो हम कहते हैं नारीवाद जो है वो पुरुष के खिलाफ नहीं है, वो समाज को समान बनाने के लिए है, जहां पर कि महिलाओं को भी महिलाएं भी काम कर सके, इज्जत से काम कर सके, वो पैसा धन उपार्जन करके ला सके. जरूरी नहीं कि केवल पुरुष ही काम करे. मतलब अब घर में जब मेरी शादी हुई थी तो भाई मैं झाड़ू पोछा लगाता था. अगर वाइफ मेरी अच्छी कुक है तो ठीक है तुम चलो किचन संभालो, कपड़े मैं धोऊंगा, प्रेस मैं करूंगा, झाड़ू पोछा मैं लगाऊंगा. तो ये चीजें हम तो मिलकर कर सकते हैं ना. इट इज नॉट नेसेसरी. अच्छा बाई चांस अगर अच्छा कुक होता तो मैं खाना ही बना लेता मैं. तो ऐसा क्या है कि हम अगर काम कर देंगे खाना बनाने का या झाड़ू पोछे का या करने का, हम जो है वो मतलब औरतों काम करने लग गए जो है. तो इट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट दैट जो डिवाइड है समाज है हमारा कि पुरुष का महिला का, इसको खत्म करे जो है. कोई काम है, कोई फैमिली है, दोनों को मिलकर काम करने की जरूरत है इसमें.
इक्वलिटी वही सेम इक्वलिटी मतलब सब जगह होनी चाहिए. बट द misunderstood, the misconception is that if we do the same things as others are doing, that bad things, then we are feminist. Otherwise, we are not. In young girls, it is prevailing now. They are thinking that if the boys are doing the tagline like why should have all the fun. You see these lines, and these are creating, I think, misconception that it is not about equality. It is about competing something or opposing something.
नहीं उसमें आई थिंक रुपिंदर आप जो कह रहे हैं कि वो कभी का लोग सोचते हैं. बट देखिए क्योंकि मैं निफ्ट में पढ़ाता हूँ, मैं करीब 10 बैचेस मैंने पढ़ा लिए, करीब 400 बच्चों को मैंने अपने क्लास में लिया है 2018 से. एंड आई कैन टेल यू निफ्ट दिल्ली जो है, नेशनल फैशन टेक्नोलॉजी की बात कर रहा हूँ मैं, वहां पे जो है कोई भी जितनी भी लड़कियां रही मेरे क्लास के अंदर, लड़के रहे हैं, they all spoke about women's rights and equality and all those things. But वो जो भ्रम है ना, मुझे क्या लगता है कि कई लोग जो है उसको समझ नहीं पाते हैं. So as mentor teachers and all, it's very important कि हम उसको समझें और दोनों लड़के लड़कियों को बताएं कि भाई ये आइडियोलॉजी जो है उसमें कोई गलत नहीं है. ये हम बराबरी की बात करते हैं अधिकारों में, बराबरी की बात करते हैं इंसाफ में, बराबरी की बात हम लोग गलत काम के लिए नहीं करते हैं कि वो स्मोक करे तो हम भी स्मोक करें, दारू पिए हम भी जो है वो उल्टे काम करो हम भी करें, वो क्राइम करो तो हम भी क्राइम करें. नो, हमको अच्छा समाज बनाना है. तो भाई अब चूंकि मैं खुद शराब और दारू मतलब सिगरेट नहीं पीता हूँ, मैं कहता हूँ कोई ना पिए, लेकिन अगर पीते हो तो ठीक है भैया, अब समझ के रहो, समझ के पियो, सब कुछ करो. लेकिन ये कहना कि भाई ये पुरुषों के लिए ठीक है, महिलाओं के लिए ठीक नहीं है, ये चीजें गलत है. हमको ये समाज में कहना कि भाई अब देख ये है कि अब इसमें रुपिंदर ये बताइए कि अब लोग होंगे वो जी लड़की देखो बड़ा वो ड्रेस पहन के जा रही थी, छेड़छाड़ हो उसके साथ जो है. जो 2 साल की लड़की के साथ रेप हो रहा है, 2 महीने लड़की के साथ रेप हो रहा है, उस लड़की ने क्या पहना था भैया? हाँ, तो ये एक पुरुष की मानसिकता हो चुकी है ना कि भाई आपको
आपके पास पावर है, आपको गलत करने का आपको कोई रोकेगा नहीं। आप कोई क्राइम करोगे तो पुलिस भी आपको जो है, पुलिस साथ है आपके। तो दिक्कत ये है कि हमारा जो पूरा कानून व्यवस्था है, जो पुलिस प्रणाली है, तंत्र है, वो भी पैट्रियार्कल है, वो भी उसकी सोच भी पैट्रियार्कल है। तो हमें वो सब बदलना पड़ेगा, हमें उनको भी बताना पड़ेगा, भाई जब सबका सोच है बदलिए आप जो है। और बदलाव जो है जाहिर तौर पे बच्चों से शुरू होती है। तो आप जो मेंटल टीचर्स हैं आप लोग जो है, तो क्लास के अंदर बॉयज एंड गर्ल्स होते हैं, दोनों को बताने की जरूरत है भैया, बॉयज को कि बी रिस्पॉन्सिबल। आप जो है ये, जब मेरा बेटा खुद जब बड़ा हो रहा था, उसको बोला बेटा आप कोई शिकायत अगर मुझे मिली लड़की को तंग करते हुए, छेड़ते हुए, आई बी द लास्ट पर्सन टू डिफेंड यू। तू अगर क्राइम करेगा, आई वुड बी, आई सी टू इट यू गो टू जेल। मैं तो बचाने वाला नहीं है बिल्कुल भी। तो वो चीजें हमको बोलना पड़ेगा बच्चों को अपने जो है, कि हम बस अपने लड़कियों को बोलते हैं बच्चे ऐसा मत करना, लड़कों को खुला छोड़ते हैं, अरे तू तो बेटा है, तू तो राज करेगा, तू जो करना तू कर, हम तो बचा लेंगे। प्रॉब्लम ये है, यू नो। So this is something we all need, have very important role to play to bring sanity in a society, you know, to tell कि भाई ये फेमिनिज्म क्या है, उसको समझ करके कि फेमिनिज्म कोई पुरुषों के खिलाफ नहीं है, वो एक समानता की बात करता है, पुरुष महिलाओं में अर्धनारीश्वर की बात है भाई। वो तो शंकर भगवान की अगर शक्ति है तो वो दोनों चीजों में
that we should say what is wrong for both sexes,
Absolutely.
and what is right is for right for both
right,
sexes.
absolutely.
Yes.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल नहीं, व्हाट इज रॉन्ग इज रॉन्ग, व्हाट इज राइट इज राइट। बट आप एक के लिए गलत है दूसरे सही है, ऐसा नहीं हो सकता। दैट्स ट्रू। वो जो कहते हैं डबल स्टैंडर्ड्स हमको फॉलो करने की जरूरत नहीं है उसका।
यस सर,
जी बिल्कुल बिल्कुल। थैंक यू, सो नाइस, थैंक यू फॉर लिसनिंग।
I was just reading one article which was saying that it is the families these days are getting broken up because the girls are talking to their parents a lot. So it is like blaming the technology for breaking family and also the girls' family. But we don't consider that because their rights are getting broken and they are more aware about their rights, so it is better to stay away rather than staying in that toxic relationship. But we blame it the other way so that they cannot have this discussion with parents and cannot tell them. So it's like going the other way around.
Absolutely. You know, I think we can't be having double standards, you know. One standard that everything the boy does is right, and other standard everything the girl does is wrong. No, if it's wrong for boys, it's wrong for girls also. The problem with our culture is, you know, we have got double standards. You know, हमारा लड़का अलाउड है करने के लिए, लड़की को अलाउड नहीं है। तो भाई लड़कों को, see the problem in our culture is none of, in our parenting, we don't tell our boys, we don't tell, you know, our children, men to behave, to be better people. We only tell, our entire culture and everything is only for girls, and this is where we are very wrong, you know. मतलब हमने लड़कियों को तो बताया कि समाज में आपको आगे बढ़ना है, कैसे क्या करना है, लड़कों को नहीं बताया है कि when the women get empowered, how you need to deal with them. You know, you need to be more liberated from a patriarchy, a patriarchal mindset. You know, so this is very important. The point you're making, you know. Yeah, and anything else, Richa, you want to say? Anybody else wants to have any point?
Was really informative, and I think everybody spoke out their heart, and it was a really important conversation to have and discuss at this point of time. So if anybody has any questions or anything, or otherwise we'll end the session. Anybody else?
Okay, if it is ending, then I want to say something again. Sorry for talking too much, but I was really enjoying the response from Indu sir, because after Kamla ma'am's death, I did not have any such discussions with anybody. So I got the opportunity today. So I was saying that these days I was observing like 6 of my friends, they are going through divorce cases, and almost it was like similar story, that they were working before marriage, but they were not allowed to work after marriage, so that economic exploitation, and then they are not allowed to talk to any friends, then they are not allowed to like they are just waiting in their in-laws place, but they don't know how to behave in this new family, but they are not supported as well, and they are expected that they should be a perfect daughter-in-law. But I don't know what is this perfect daughter-in-law because for my friends, I am like a counselor, so they keep on talking to me whenever they are going through depression and all. So I was wondering why in so-called highly educated, like 4th-generation educated these families are, and still they are facing this, and 4 of them are like settled outside India. So their husbands have been educated there, and I don't know where our education is leading us, and what should be the response towards that.
Absolutely. No, I think somewhere, I think I'll read out 2 passages from Kamla's book. One is on masculinity, where she says, according to old ILO statistics, men collectively control 99% of all property, obtain 90% of income distributed by doing only 30% of total work in the world. Men occupy 90% of parliament seats and over 80% of all managerial positions. They also commit around 90% of all violent crimes and almost 100% of all rapes. Yeah. She quotes that. Then at one point she says, which is very important, that men of quality believe in equality. So it's very important men also to be part of the women's movement. And I want to end by saying that, by being part of the women's movement, by doing my homeless work I've done for the last 20 years and women's movement for 40 years, I think I surely have become a better being, better human being, if you want to say. I haven't lost anything. If I lost anything, is my patriarchy. And losing patriarchy, I think giving up power and privilege is very important if you want to live and make a society better. And maybe time has come when all the men need to give up privilege that they have. Privilege of being a man, privilege of always being, respected. I think we need to give up the privilege and allow, and not just question of allow, I think let the women be the way they want to be. Why should we be deciding what is good for them, what is bad for them? They know what is good for them, what is bad for them. They will do it. They'll follow it, So I think my thing is like, I think society has to change. And the men need to bring in the change in themselves, and women need to ensure that the change comes in, and they don't give in to any patriarchal norms and values. They find it out, and they liberate themselves from patriarchy. And I think we'll become better society only when both men and women liberate themselves from patriarchy as such, patriarchal norms, mores, values, culture. Yeah. And thank you everyone for listening, and thank you for participating. And keep writing, keep sharing. We'll talk again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for this wonderful session. And I thank everyone for joining in. We will be having another session with sir, and he will be sharing the link for the same. Thank you so much. And everybody can leave now. Thank you.
Thank you, Richa.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
Work, Adore. God bless Zindabad for the work you're doing. Thank you, my dear. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
And do save the comments also, huh?
Yes, sir. I have done it.
And let me have the comments, no?
Yes, sir.
Sir, how can we connect with you if you don't mind?
Come again?
How can we get connected with you in future if you don't mind?
So you can provide the details in the chat box. Then anybody wants to connect.
Okay.
You want me to provide, or you provide Richa? Or you want me to provide the... one second. I'll just do that. 1 second. I'll just do that. I think I'll give you my email ID. You can reach me on that. I'll just do that,
Yeah.
Indu Prakash. 1 second. Indu Prakash. And 9931 and
No, 1 second. Yeah, I've written my email ID, my mobile number, and my website.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, and I think we'll be in touch. Everybody here, thanks a lot.
Yes.
Thanks a lot for.
Thank you so much.
Joining.
And we have also provided the details of Adore. If anybody wishes to volunteer and get connected, we have provided the email ID, website, and contact details as well.
Thank you, Richa. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.